and welcome to my channel. Thanks for looking in. From Curios and Crafts Co. in collaboration with Beebeecraft, today we're going to do 2 easy stretch bracelets with 3 different types and textures of bead. These are very simple for beginners. The items that we are going to need came from Beebeecrafts. So we have some turquoise lava beads, some non-magnetic hematite 2-hole beads, and some small 2x3mm black glass crystal rondelle beads. We're going to use 2 in the first bracelet and then 3 in the second, over and above some elastic string, strong and stretchy, which is also from Beebeecraft. All the items will be listed in the description below. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and you will also need a drop of glue for the knots. I tend to use a super glue or a gel glue or something like that, something that's fast acting and will secure your knots once you've finished. So when you're doing a stretch bracelet, you need to measure how you want the bracelet to look on the wrist and then add some extra. The reason for that is you want the stretch while you're putting it over your hand, but then you're also going to need plenty on the ends for knotting. The last thing you want to be doing is trying to fiddle around with ½ inch of elastic. So make sure you add a good, if you want a 7-inch bracelet, probably do about 11 inches of elastic and allow yourself plenty of wiggle room for the knots. So it's very, very simple. Because these are fairly large hole beads, the elastic will actually thread through both the hematite and the lava beads without need for a needle. So first bracelet, very, very simple. 1 hematite bead followed by 1 lava bead. 1 hematite bead followed by another lava bead. And you just continue like that, alternating, stringing the beads until you get your desired length. I'm aiming for about a 7-inch finished bracelet, so I have 11 inches of elastic. Add all the beads. I always keep a ruler handy so that when I get to the end I can just hold up my beads and make sure that I have the correct length. There you go, about 7 inches, that's perfect. So the next thing to do is to tie a knot. You can put 2 or 3 knots in. I would choose how many knots I'm going to do in accordance with the size of the beads that I'm using, actually. Because what I do like to do is, once I've stuck my little bit of glue on there, is to pull the knot inside the hole of one of the beads in the bracelet, and then it's not visible. So as you can see there, I did just a normal crossover knot and then a double one normal, and then on the second one put it round twice. And pull and stretch. There's a lot of strength in this elastic, so you can give it a really good tug. Now you could glue it at that point, or you can leave it until the end. On this particular one I chose to leave it till the end. So then obviously you've got a second hole unutilized at the moment on your hematite bead. So you thread, carry on threading. You've already got your hematite beads, so this time you're only going to add lava beads. So you go through your hematite, you add a lava bead, go through the next hematite on the bracelet, More fingers and thumbs here today, clearly. And then add another lava bead. And you just continue with that all the way to the end. You add your lava bead once you've gone through the previous hematite bead. Very straightforward, very simple, but effective, and it gives a lovely finished bracelet. So we just carry on with that. Until we've finished. Obviously I've fast forwarded this because the process is just a repeat, so you don't need to watch it all in fine detail. These lava beads have got a beautiful, unusual texture, and they make quite a nice sound when they rub in together. So it's a chunky, textured bracelet which is nice for, because of the shininess of the hematite and the natural texture of the lava bead, it can be used for dressy or for casual. It look nice with jeans, it look nice with a little black dress. So once you get to the end, same thing, we need to tie a couple of knots in there. I've done a couple of fairly chunky knots on this bracelet because the hole in the hematite bead is a decent size. Don't be frightened to pull it. As I say, there's plenty of stretch, and as you can see, there's a couple of inches left over on each side, which makes the knot tying a lot more simple. So give it a good tug, and then we need to give it a dab of glue just to make sure that those knots stay secure. The one issue you can sometimes have with elastic threading is that the knots unravel because the elastic doesn't have the same grip as a cotton thread or something like that. So once you've tied your knots and you're happy with them, that little dab of glue will just keep your knot secure, which means you'll get plenty of wear. So I've used this gel type glue on these bracelets. It's not super glue, but it's similar in its fast acting properties. So you literally just pull the elastic away from the bracelet, drop your little bit of glue onto the bracelet, onto the knot, and then make sure you get plenty on there. It will dry clear anyway. And then what I always do at this point, I want that knot to go inside the hematite bead, so I'm wiggling it into place while I'm allowing that glue to start drying. And then obviously we have two knots, so we need to repeat that process. Get a little bit of glue onto that knot. That came out a bit faster that time. And the same thing, just put the lid back on the glue, you don't want that getting everywhere. Tease that elastic back into place near the bead that you want it to go into. The majority of the knot will be hidden inside the bead. And then finally, the last thing you need to do is just snip off the excess elastic. I mean, you don't have to leave much. I tend to leave about 1 millimeter past the knot, which should be now nicely firmly glued. And as you can see, you can wiggle it about a little bit. You can see that knot slightly. If you think you've left a little bit too much on there, just give it another trim. It's not a problem. But as you can see there, I've just pulled the knot inside the bead and now you can't see it. So there is bracelet number 1. Very quick, maybe 15 minutes to do altogether. And it's a lovely, pretty, classy bracelet. So that's the first one. As I say, these things are so easy that beginners can do them. So for the second one, similar thing. I'm starting with the hematite, but this time I'm going to alternate, and I'm going to put 3 of the small crystal rondelles on. As you can see here, the holes in these rondelle beads are much smaller. Some of them went on fairly easily and some of them really didn't. So in the end, after struggling through the first 3, I put my first 3 on by hand, but it was really quite time consuming trying to get the elastic to go through the hole, because some of the holes on the rondelles were very slightly bigger than others, which made them easier to thread, and then the ones that had the slightly smaller holes, the elastic just wasn't, it went through, but it wasn't an easy task to get it through. So you'll see on the next set of 3 that I decided I just tried a different bead there, because as I say, some of the hole sizes were slightly bigger. So I put my 3 rondelles on, and then I did another hematite bead, and then a lava bead. So all I'm doing here is checking to see whether 3 rondelles were going to be enough to get the look that I was going for, and I decided that 3 was perfect. So added a lava bead, added another hematite, started trying to thread these next lot of rondelles by hand. As you saw, first one went on easily, and then started having trouble again. So I decided to pull out one of my big eye beading needles just to make it easier, because it would have taken a lot longer had I not gone for that big eye beading needle. So at this point, after trying 2 or 3 different beads and realizing that I was literally wasting my time, I tried a normal needle, and then decided that even that the elastic was very slightly too thick to get through my normal, because I normally use a 10 or 11 beading needle. It was very slightly too thick, so I needed a big eye beading needle. So I disappear, I come back with my big eye beading needle, and then the process is sped up dramatically. Much quicker, because that big eye beading needle goes through, and whilst you are, once you pull the needle through, you're pulling 2 widths of elastic through the bead, but they do go through, just with a bit of gentle encouragement. You don't have to pull too hard, just wiggle it about slightly and it slots on no problem. So that is the pattern for this bracelet. 1 hematite, 3 crystal, 1 hematite, 1 lava, 1 hematite, 3 crystal, 1 hematite, 1 lava. So 1 of everything, and then just 3 of the smaller ones. Again, I've sped it up because it is just repeat until you get the length that you desire. So I've shortened the rest of the video because it was getting quite lengthy. So you carry on making the same pattern until you've got the length you want. You tie your knot as you did on the previous bracelet, making sure you've got a good couple of holes on there, and then you add your dab of glue, encourage the knot into the bead that you want it to hide in, and trim off the excess elastic. Now for the second row of this bracelet, I decided to go for an alternating pattern. So where there is a lava bead, I will add 3 crystals, thread through the hematite, and then where you get to the crystal beads, where there are 3 crystal beads, add 1 lava bead. That will serve to give you a slightly skewed pattern on this bracelet. If you put a lava bead where a lava bead is, the hematite bead would lie straight. If you put the 3 crystals opposite the lava bead, your hematite the lava bead is very slightly bigger, so you will get a very slight diagonal slant on all of your hematite beads, but in an alternating pattern. And that gives just a slightly different look. With the added crystals, you've got that little bit of bling as well. And this bracelet is really pretty. It's got a pretty pattern. The crystals give it that little bit of bling, and you can definitely wear this for a night out with your little black dress. It's beautiful. And of course, I'm using the lava beads just for an example. You could repeat this pattern and replace that lava bead with any size or colour or texture of bead that you wanted. So, you know, the pattern is repeatable. You could also, of course, if you didn't want to make it in an elastic bracelet, you could also string it in the traditional fashion and add a clasp. That's another option. So this is just a basic pattern idea. As you can see there, where the 3 crystals are, I've added the lava bead. I've stuck my big eye beading needle on, and I have then added the 3 rondelles. Continued that until the end of the pattern, and then tied a knot, added a drop of glue, and cut off the excess. So that's how you would finish off the second bracelet. I haven't shown it because it's exactly the same as the last one. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm happy to answer anything I can. And as always, thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please subscribe to my channel. So that's me signing off for today. I will be back soon with another video. Bye for now.